Welcome to Thank God You're Not My Child. Remember, it's a comedy podcast where I talk about whatever I want to. And this week, I want to talk about laziness. I know, it's a big one. But with me being retired, I've been having a huge problem with the laziness thing because working so many hours before and just constantly on the go. Because if you've ever worked in a home daycare and done anything by yourself or worked with kids, you know, teachers, you know how you're constantly going. And while you're constantly going, you have to work at getting self-care. Because if you don't do self-care, you're going to fall apart. You still at times feel like you might be too lazy. I did. Even when I was working 65, 70 hours a week, and that was just work. I still did roller derby, jitsu, kickboxing, whatever I could do, probably 3 or 4 nights a week. I never felt lazy. I always had to search for the self-care. Well, now, self-care is off the fucking chart. I don't have to worry about it. I can sit alone, have my God time pretty much any time of the day I want. As much as I want, I can take walks. I can watch movies. I can do whatever I want. And being lazy isn't one of them. Because laziness will stir your heart up to, I don't know, lazy is just bad. And that's, I guess, what I was raised with. So every day, I have to have something I can do. And some days it's hard because self-care is good. And I'm all for self-care, okay? But when self-care becomes your life, like that's almost all you do. Now, we're not talking about disabled or if you're hurt or disabled or even autism. We're talking about your average Joe. Or in my case, I should say the average Jim. We're just going to leave it that. The last Jim I knew that lived here on the mountain told me I was the devil because I went to church on Sunday. I know. Anyway, so just if you're watching, hair in the heat sucks. And if you're not, just imagine crazy hair. So yeah, we're just talking about the average Joe. And when life becomes to the point to where you're always watching TV or you're always just hanging out with someone or you're always like you're not even really working much, there's always something to do. And that's my thought. That's how I raised my kids. So they've struggled with some of their downtime because I was like, gotta go. Still, when I'm at my daughter's, I still feel like I need to do laundry. I love doing laundry. My things are laundry and dishes. I'm a freak. So yeah, but it's like, I feel like with the kids there, the grandkids there, and the daughter there, that I'm not the mom of the house, but I feel like if I can do anything to help her, it helps me. My mama does that. And when my grandparents were alive, my grandmamas were alive, they both did that. It was like always on the go. But what do you do if you have somebody that's truly lazy? You know, like, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I just need a little help. I don't know. I just can't do something like that. Oh, I'm not used to that. What do you do? Well, there's not much you can do. Because if you can't give somebody a need, that they have to find what their goal in life is. Because my goal in life, you know what? I had one. And you know what we're doing now? We're revamping for this last season of my life because I really think it's going to be the last season of my life. I'm 56. No more kids. Just, yeah. So what do you do? What do you do if nobody has a goal? Well, I'm going through that now. I don't know. I don't really have a goal. With the 2 knees, I have a goal because I do want to skydive. I've never skydived and I want to skydive. So that's a goal. So I know I've been starting to hike and I need to be able to work out. I need to be able to crawl on my knees. I mean, there's things I need to do before I can skydive. So that gives me a goal. But what do you do what do I do to get a goal? You know what? I've just been hitting the Bible. That's what I've been doing because I want God to give me my next goal in life. I want Him to, I'm having fun doing the podcast. It doesn't really cost me a whole lot to do it. I get to yak at people. So this is great. I get to yak at people. I can't believe people actually want to hear me yak, 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 yak. But yeah, so how do you get a goal in life when everything was changed? Because I retired, no more daycare, no more in around Branson, Missouri. I mean, I have friends there and I get to go see them, but no more. New house, no job, new state, and no goal. So that's what I'm working on. So if you have any idea of how to get an old person a goal, I could use some help. When daycare kids were little, when they were 2, I thought the most important thing to teach them is not really not be lazy, because I never wanted to call any of them lazy, because if you're sitting down reading or something and you're doing self-care, it's not my job to tell you you are being lazy, because that's a personal thing, even at 2. So I would give the 2-year-olds their own jobs. And this was in daycare, not my own. My own, she's 32 right now. And it was so long ago, I would have to probably think about it. But daycare, they would each have their own little center. So like maybe even a one, just turned 1, would pick up like the baby dolls. Now, not all the baby stuff, but a very small job, because they needed to have a job to have some kind of responsibility for their age. 2 to 3-year-olds, you know what they're doing? They're learning to be nice to people. They're learning to wipe their nose, their mouth, and their ass. That's what they're learning to do. They're learning to keep their hands to themselves. They're learning this is what they're supposed to be learning. They're also going to be playing. And so you want kids to do things. You want them, but you also want kids to learn to take care of themselves. So you need to have a 2, 3-year-old that has a job of some kind. It's your household. Find a little job for them. Ooh, the victory they have when they have their job done. It is so good. And don't pay them for it. This is their responsibility because they live in the house. Okay? Don't pay them for that. If you want to pay them for something, you get something extra. Like maybe if sweeping's not their job and they want to come and sweep, maybe they can make 50 cents, you see, but not their jobs, because everybody needs to have a responsibility to make a family work. So you start young. It's hard. Do you know why it's hard? Because it's called parenting. Oh, it's called parenting. Did you know parenting's hard? If parenting is hard, no, parenting is hard. I think just being a human is hard. Let's get real. I'm the one with no goal in life right now. That's not true. My goal is to take care of my husband, drive him anywhere he needs to be, because that's part of what I do for him. If he's hungry, I'm going to cook for him. If he needs ice water, lemonade, or hot tea, I'm going to make it for him. If he wants blah, 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 blah. That's my goal now. Do this little podcast. That's my goal now. I need more. Okay, so now you got school agers. You've got a kindergartner that needs to learn to get their backpack every morning, to make sure they have their lunch, all of this kind of stuff. Now, I'm just going to tell you, it takes time to train a child, to teach a child to do that. So I would never tell a kindergarten not taking their backpack to them and all of that. That's your business. But you get later on in 2nd or 3rd grade, there needs to be a time where consequences come in. Do you understand? It's all about learning responsibilities. And if somebody knows they have responsibilities, they need to be trained to do them. So yeah. So I probably would take my kindergartner's backpack, and maybe the first couple of weeks in the 1st grade, first couple of weeks, you got a little grace. But you know what? There needs to be consequences when it doesn't hurt as bad. And if you're not taking their backpack to them because they forgot it and they're in 4th grade, first of all, I don't think they'll forget it again. Second of all, it's called consequences on something that's not really going to hurt them. Makes sense. Because you have to teach a child. It's like them doing their homework. Your child has homework. You shouldn't be touching it. Now, asking them, helping them, being there with them, okay, that's it. I knew parents that pretty much just did the homework. You know what I mean? And I can tell you this, in my math class, I was pregnant. I had my son in high school, and I was no good at math. I mean, as in like, I think you spell math M-A-T-H. That's how bad I am. I think I can spell it right. That last year, I failed every test in class because my baby daddy, my ex-husband, he is good at math, brainiac. And guess who did all of my homework? It didn't help me one fucking bit. It did help me graduate. Whew. But I had a lot to learn afterwards because I didn't fucking do it. So I learned the hard way. So make your kids do their own projects. If they don't get it done, let them have the consequences. Because if you don't do this, you're going to end up with a high schooler that is constantly whining about not having their basketball shoes or not having their library book, or, oh my gosh, I left my homework at home. You don't need to be taking that to your child. There needs to be some consequences for this because then they learn. And it's easy learning. It might not feel like it at that time, but it's easy learning. Because the last thing you want to do is have a child that graduates high school and has no life goal. No. It's not the worst thing that could happen. They still breathing. And not every child, after they finish high school, they're going to know what they want to do. So the best thing you can do is just guide them on that. But guiding a child that just graduated high school that doesn't know what they want to do does not mean just paying for everything and letting them sleep in and do whatever they want. You know, if they can't get a job, there's a problem. If they can't pay rent, there's a problem. I don't care if it's $25 a week, there's a problem. I know when my son went through a very hard time and divorce, which you don't want your kids to go through. You don't. And when they do, it breaks your heart. But he got very depressed, which I deal with now, depression. And it broke my heart where he was. And he got to the point where it was hard for him to even get up and couldn't find a job. And in that hard time, I could have done where the fuck's your rent? Where the fuck, go out and get a job. I don't care how you get the money. But that wasn't going to help him. Well, I had a home daycare. So the best way he can help me is he cleaned that daycare every night. I had 10 kids all day. Yes, the kids cleaned up through the day, but don't think it wasn't a mess at night. And don't think toys didn't clean. Cleaned every night, swept, mopped, the whole bit. He did it. He had the whole night to do it. I didn't care if he did it at 1 a.m. as long as it was done when I opened at 7 a.m. That's what he needed at that time. So we pushed him to a point, but he got to figure himself out. So I understand if you're having to figure yourself out, because that's where I am. And some people could look at my life now and think, my God, she's so lazy. It's true. I'm so fucking lazy now. That is what this episode is about. It's driving me fucking nuts being lazy. I started this miniature dollhouse, and don't get me wrong, I'm still very much into that. I'm going to finish that kitchen. The problem is I think in my head, I'm not really a crafting person. So if it's sunshiny, I don't want to stay inside. So I'm waiting for the snow, or I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even stay inside when it rains. But when it's cold and it's snowy, I'm going to need stuff to do. So it just sits there waiting for me. It's a hobby. And living in a tiny house, I can't have big things. But yeah, I didn't want to send him over. So I don't think that you should know your kid. I don't think having anybody lazy is helping any of us. So look at yourself. I'm having to look at myself now on what I can do, because as you know, I've got an 8-month-old knee and a 4-month-old knee, maybe 5 month and let me see, 4 months. Okay, anyway, 8 and 4. The 4 month, ooh-wee, it's still kind of sore sometimes. I did some hiking yesterday, so it makes it a little hard. And not to mention the shots in my spine for the nerve damage isn't quite working. So the end of September, I have to get more through my spine. But you know what? It can't stop me. It can't stop me. When you let something stops you, that's when the laziness will take over. And when laziness takes it over, you get comfortable just sitting and watching TV. You get comfortable just sitting there playing games. You get comfortable sitting there playing on your phone. You get comfortable just eating some food in front of a movie, and you don't even realize that there's people living their life all around them because you have hit a comfort, a self-care mode that has put you into a laziness that you're comfortable doing nothing. And that scares the shit out of me. So I've listened to Gary Vee is one of my favorite guys to listen to. I like his, it doesn't matter how old you are, just go do what the fuck you want. And that's what I'm checking on. What the fuck do I 56? Do I have to do something? Yes, I have to do something. Yeah. So let your kids learn. Let your kids make their mistakes. Let your kids know that self-care is okay, but to sit down and be lazy all the time, it's a treat to play a game. I don't care if you're going to let them play. You've been good all week. You can play games all day on Saturday. It's something they work for. I'm all for it. You be you. Just don't let people think being lazy is good. Lazy is not good. Self-care in moderation is good. Self-care every day is good. Laziness is not. And that's all I've learned about laziness so far. The big thing I learned is laziness is to not want to. You don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna sit here. You have no motivation to do anything. Well, my motivation is there. So the fact that I am going to the Bible and praying and give me something. It's going to happen, guys. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So let's teach our friends, teach our sons, teach our daughters, teach our spouses. Self-care every day, absolutely. Laziness, it was one of my biggest things in my past. I did too much and allowed someone else not to do enough. Yeah. So next week, or while this one airs, I will actually be heading out towards Minnesota. So on the 14th, I'll be flying out. My son is he's going to go from 2 feet to 1 foot. I do believe it's below the knee. They're going to amputate. He's an ex-Marine or always a Marine. I know it. Always a Marine mom. I know. Don't correct me on that, please. Again, I know it. He's a disabled Marine, got hurt in service, and after 3 or 4 surgeries, I think 3 on his ankle, they finally approved because he lost all of his weight. Well, he's still going to lose some more. He's going to lose a lot with the knee down. I mean, if you think about it, I don't mean to be weird. That might be like 10 pounds, Justin. You might be losing 10 pounds on the 15th, like boom, boom, saw, done, don't. Okay. That's a little morbid. Of course, if you listen to any morbid stories, you know about the guy that had his foot amputated and kept it in his refrigerator, and he served his friends human taco meat. Yeah, that's not my son. Would he think about it? Would he do it? So that's good. He'd think about it, yuppers, but he wouldn't do it. If you haven't heard about that story, go search it. There's so many podcasts that have it out. He literally had his foot amputated and it was an accident. He asked if he could keep it, and of course, it's your foot, you can keep it, and he kept it in his refrigerator. And then his friends did agree that they wanted to try it. So okay, so I'll be flying up there, so keep me in your prayers when this goes out. He's gonna do good. He's done good on everything. This boy is not a lazy boy. He doesn't have a lazy bone in his body. So getting back up on this foot's gonna be challenging, but he's a rock star and he's going to do it. So, and while I'm gone, I'm going to do an episode. I want to do an episode on, let me see, next week's episode's going to be on solo travel because I have only done a few solo trips and I'm fixing to fly for the first time by myself. And I was remembering some funny stories from that. So I want to tell some stories about solo traveling as a 50-year-old. So, yeah. Well, I do believe I've told you everything I know and more. So until next time, thank God you're not my child.